Hi guys! As you might notice, I look a little bit different from the last time I've posted on here, and that is exactly why I wanted to do this video. It occurred to me that I hadn't posted on here. I've been posting on some of the other platforms, and I was just reflecting on how much has changed since my last video on here, and I wanted to talk about what has transpired, and then I also wanted to share the things that I have that I think is transferable or can be helpful to other people, both around the shadow work aspect of what I've been through. And as you may or may not know, what I do for a living is I take people through, what's commonly known as shadow work, but it's certainly not like the way my clients experience it. Like, we have a lot of fun, and I've talked to them about that. Like, a lot of them were really nervous when they came into my space, and they were like virtual space, right? But they were nervous about like what's going to come up, how intense is this going to be? And a lot of them have said, one person who was a licensed psychotherapist said after our very first session, she was like, I don't know what the fuck kind of magic you just worked, but like I absolutely did not anticipate that much shifting in just one session. People talk about how like they actually feel like it's a really enjoyable experience. They feel really deeply seen. They feel really safely held. We move a lot of energy. So I have clairvoyance. I have a number of different gifts, which I basically interpret as perceiving data through our different senses. And some of us are more or less sensitive to being able to perceive that data that is available, I believe, to all of us, which is another interesting thing. The folks that work with me tend to also start experiencing their own gifts coming online. It depends on how much, like if like one person who's stayed with me, he's been working with me for an entire year. He now has also joined my team, and he is super passionate about spreading word on what I do. So if you see me over on Instagram, he runs the Rebirth. It's, I believe, I should know this, but it's Rebirth the Community. I think it's Rebirth_ the community on Instagram. We started that page just like a month or two ago. So he does all the posts on there. I send him long form videos. He slices and dices it. I hate editing content. And he does the captions. So you get also to hear from his perspective, like what it is that I do, what I'm about, but not me talking about it, right? For him, because he's been working with me for about a year now, he's got his own gifts coming online. Because essentially the way I see it is we're all capable of being channels for spirit. And it's really a matter of clearing your channel, becoming a vessel in which spirit can express through you in an undistorted way, but in a way that's perfectly unique for you. So that's expressing outward and receiving inward. And when we start to clear our channel, we start to be able to receive more data because we become more sensitive, which sounds scary to some people, but the reality is it's like going to the gym, right? Like if I told you you're going to start lifting 50-pound weights every day and you can't even lift a 5-pound weight, that's going to sound really intimidating. But when you continually are expanding your capacity to be present with emotions, the way I describe it is like I perceive emotions for me, because I've been doing this since my near-death experience 6 years ago, as feeling like I am a vessel and there's a river that just flows through me. And honestly, like I have fun with my purges, which might sound sick, but like when the biggest discomfort that we experience, this is what I learned over the years, is resistance. And if you had told me that in like 2020 when all this started, I would have thought you were insane. But after 6 years of my gifts basically leading me through, and or God, the divine spirit, my spirit team leading me through this process of transmuting all of this stuck emotional baggage, density that was trapped in my being. I kind of lost my train of thought because I was trying to think of the words, but over the course of time, as I've been led through this process, it's become like my relationship to emotions has changed. And now I would actually tell you that I enjoy the experience of emotions running through me, what I don't like is feeling numb and empty, depression, right? That's what I used to experience. I was suicidal. I had a lot of trauma. I just felt like there was constantly so much simmering beneath the surface, and I just wanted relief all the time. So I was constantly distracting, kind of like running away from everything in whatever way I could. And today, when I have big purges, I make it sexy, I make it fun, like I put music to it, and like I know when I'm in it, I'm like, ooh, we're gonna have another big level up. So like when I was in that deep purge in November and December, I was like, holy shit, like I've never been in a purge this big. I wonder who's waiting on the other side. And then sure enough, there was this huge up-leveling, and I feel like I've just been in this like blooming stage. After that, there still has been waves of like smaller purges since then, but it was like that was just like a huge releasing period. And so one thing that I've learned that happened just prior to that big purge is that when we're ready to release a layer, or like, well, let's call it a layer for the sake of simplicity. Language doesn't quite, like what I see, it's very challenging. Like language is limiting, I would say, or limited. But we're gonna call it a layer. When we're ready to release a layer, or like resolving a wound that was creating certain repetitive behaviors in us, that behavior is going to, or the experiencing in your external world of the expression of that wound being reflected back to you is going to get much, much louder. And so the experience that I had been in just prior to this big purge was a lot around noticing how I had drawn in a lot of people around me who wanted me to shrink, wanted me to be smaller. They were competing with me. It was a replication of dynamics that I had experienced in childhood, which as I've worked with other people, I'm noticing like, this is how it goes, right? Like, it's like we experience a dynamic in childhood and we're always manifesting, whether we're trying to or not. And so how that occurs is that now we're manifesting in our external experience a recreation of that dynamic where we had an unresolved wound, that it's like there's multiple things happening at once. We are recreating the wound and trying to get resolution to the wound, but because we're drawing in people that are like the person that was in the dynamic with us when we were a child, they're probably not, like, I mean, if they're really devoted to their healing and also really devoted to like staying present when, relationships are the biggest mirror, and so it's gonna be triggering. And so if they're really willing to be present with all of the triggers when they come up, then it can be a huge opportunity to clear those layers. Unfortunately, my partner at the time was not ready to really be present with that stuff. And however, I was repeatedly leaning in and leaning in and leaning in and leaning in. Whenever there was triggers, I was clearing the emotion, like purging the emotions through my, like I wasn't trying to resolve it with him. Like I would try, right? But then if I recognize like this isn't getting solved here, and I know that I have emotions within me that are surfacing, and I know that triggers, like triggering experiences, are an opportunity for me to release more of what I've been holding. So I would create intentional space for myself to move that energy through my body. And so by the time we ended the relationship, there was no more, the trauma bond had released for me, right? So I was like, why am I in this, And it was just kind of gone. And following that, there was this huge purging of anger around what I had been accepting in my life for my whole life, basically, right? Because I had just been recreating these same relationship dynamics, not just my romantic partnerships, but including my romantic partnerships. So it would be like a new face, a new man, but the same damn pattern, right? And the last one, because I had been starting to clear, like I had just barely started really getting into understanding how to alchemize things right before he came into my life. So he was certainly not as like, and I'm still friends with him. I adore him. And I know he also cares about helping other people. And so when I speak about these things, please understand that it is not to throw him under the bus. It is to use my life as examples to help other people learn, right? So when I met him, it was not as overt, right? The pattern wasn't as overt. But as I went along, I started seeing the similar themes, right? And so the purging in November and December was a lot of rage around all of a sudden being able to see, because it's like a veil, like when something fully, hang on, I have very sensitive hearing and something is making a slight little, I don't know what I would call that, like a high-pitched noise. Sometimes when things are plugged into outlets, I don't know if other people hear that too, probably some of you. So yeah, a lot of rage around what I had been accepting, and finally being able to see, like, have a sense of self-worth that I had never ever accessed before. And so on the other side of that 2-month purge, which literally, like, honestly, I will say, like, I was scared because I've never experienced that intense of a purge. And like I said, so I really got into the flow of like, ooh, it's like I could see the mechanics of how to really go into the wounds, which is also like, we have to work with our nervous system to be able to get it to be able to open up so that we can actually descend into our underworld and start accessing the emotions. Because for a long time I was like, I want to heal, but like I can't even access what's in there. So if you're interested in doing this work, I am so happy to do an introductory call with you, explain this process more in depth. I'm just going to be dancing around this stuff right now. Drop comments if you guys want more information on my one-on-one work that I do. Lost my train of thought again. We had the buzzing noise. We had the drop a comment. I went through the big purge. I probably missed a step in there. Or like, I'm probably not going to have this be perfectly seamless, but it is what it is. So when I got to, I was scared. It was really intense. I had never experienced, like, I think because I had built my capacity where I have a lot of tools now that I lean on to help me keep my system open, to be like the riverbanks, with the river just able to run through it without much resistance at this point. And so much was able to pour through me. And on the other side of that, it was like the person that had been buried under all of that wounding and all of the conditioning. A big thing was the good girl, like the shrink yourself, don't make other people feel uncomfortable. There was a lot around like, don't act too confident, who the fuck do you think you are? Like there was a lot of that programming in there. And so when I got to the other side in January, which I thankfully with my gifts, like I was receiving the signal, like, just give yourself until January. But there was a multitude of reasons why that was absolutely fucking terrifying. But the signal was, you're being given a period where, because I went into, there was a quiet period with my work stuff too. And I was afraid because now I'm carrying the cost of this entire home myself, which was certainly not a part of the plan. Simultaneously, things went really quiet in my business. But the message that I was getting, and I get stuff like this is a thing that happens for me, was give yourself until January, and then in January you're going to have a spike of business. And that's exactly what happened. And when I got to January, it was like this. It was like all the layers that had been on top of who I really am had cleared. And so this, some of it felt like my inner child finally like starting to like, oh, like, can I come out and play? you know? And I remember, I think it was maybe February, if you went over onto my Instagram, you could probably, if you scroll back through, you could probably see right around where I started like getting excited about makeup again. Because the whole year prior, well, if you fast forward even further back, I had received the signal before I left Arizona, which was mid last year, mid 2025. I received the signal to like clear everything in my closet that didn't really feel like me. Like if it didn't 100% feel like me, like get rid of it, which was really scary because I, at the time, was walking away from a multi-six-figure career into, I was like, I don't know if this is, like I have these intuitive messages around what I believe I'm supposed to be stepping into. Like I don't really know what it's going to look like. I'm going to be living off my savings for a little while. And now I'm being given the message to like get rid of like 90% of my walk-in closet filled with shoes and clothes, a lot of them fairly new, but I did it anyways. And then for the remainder of that year, last year, I was pretty much in like, you know, all cotton sweatshirts, sweatpants. I had like the same sweatshirt in 5 colors, the same pair of sweatpants in black. And then in the summer I had the same, so I kind of reversed order. So in summer first, but whatever. In the summer I had the same like little black shorts and little tank top that I was wearing. My Birkenstock sandals in the summer, and then I had Birkenstock boots in the winter. And it was kind of like I was just being stripped away, and it was like, you gotta trust. And thankfully, like from the time of my near-death experience, I'd been given a lot of opportunities to strengthen my muscles around being able to trust when it didn't make any sense to my logical mind. And I had been shown that when I did that, there was always something really exciting waiting for me on the other side. And I think that my life unfolded exactly as it was meant to, in the sense that I got to the point where I was ready to just end it all. And so I look at it as like, everything from here forward is a fucking bonus. And I'm being guided by something far beyond me. And it's been this wild, magical ride ever since then. It's been terrifying. It's been beautiful. The terrifying parts have been when I get a message to do something before it makes sense. And it's like, you know, one of the times it was like move across the country to Arizona, even though like I knew one person there. We hadn't really spoken in a number of years. And that was really the only person that was literally the only person I knew. I did end up going out there, and I met a guy when I moved out there, and I ended up dating him when I met him when I went out there to find a place to live. And then ended up dating him for the first like year and a half of being out there. But it was just like, why Arizona? Like I had been there once, and it was like a weird experience. It was like right before my near-death experience. I was really like not okay psychologically, and it was COVID lockdown, so like I didn't go anywhere. I just was like holed up in someone's house. That was the only time I'd been there, so I really didn't have like I was like, I don't even know, I don't know what the people are like there. I don't know what's available to go do out there. I didn't know what the culture was like I really just had no idea. And I did it anyways. And then when I got out there, it was like, oh, I get it. There was a big community out there of people who also are spiritually gifted and were like ready and available to help me make sense of what was awakening within me. And I had multiple women out there that mentored me. It was a really beautiful experience, and I'm still very connected to my Arizona community, and I have a feeling I'll probably end up back out there. I'm kind of saying like, okay, God, like wherever I'm going next, like I surrender, right? Like it's been clear that the guidance that I receive is always far superior to my little mental mind ideas. So I'm open is my current stance, but I love my Arizona community. I'll probably be ending up back out there. I did, and if any of you guys are watching this video and this is the first time you're hearing this, I'm sorry, I love you guys, but I did decide that I'm going to stay here. I extended my lease, at least right now. The current plan is I'm going to stay here in Maine until the end of the current calendar year, because I've had so many moving parts that my system is really wanting to not pick up and move all the way across the country again. So that's what I'm doing for right now. Certainly, I have a feeling there's some interesting things heading my way soon. So I don't know if any of those will affect that, but my lease is going to be until the end of December as of right now. So, so it's been identity work, it's been shadow work, it's been healing my nervous system and my body. It's been learning how to slow down. So if any of you guys are like me and some of my friends, I just got off a Zoom a little earlier with my friend Megan. We were chatting about this where, you know, we got really good at always chasing the next achievement, the next thing to like, just always chasing, right? And feeling like when I get here, I'm going to be happy. When I get here, I'm going to be happy. And so I learned how to finally get my system to slow down and really be comfortable with myself, and really learn how to actually love myself, which I was always like, I always came off as a really confident person, I think because of I have a big personality, which was honestly being stifled back then, but it was almost like my and I know that it's still taking time for me to really fully let it out, but it's way more here than it ever has been before. Like I'm way more comfortable expressing myself in ways that aren't as like, you know, afraid of what you're gonna think of me, feeling like I have to be less, feeling like I have to not act like I think that I'm all that. Like I'm allowed to be confident, I'm allowed to love myself. And also loving myself in private, which could sound like that too, but what I mostly meant was like, okay, so like my friend Katie does channeling sessions with me because even though I have my own gifts, when we're emotionally invested, emotionally entangled, it can be a little clouded, right? Because we do have like, one of the big things that I work on is a lot of non-attachment for the purposes of being able to create what I want to create. That requires a level of non-attachment, but I'm human, and so there will be emotional entanglements and things that I'm working through around those attachments, and I'm human, right? And I remember in one of the channeling sessions, she was like, Spirit's asking me to ask if you've noticed it was something like how you wash your face today versus how you used to wash your face. And I was like, there's so many interesting things that come through, like when I channel for other people and when she channels for me. And I was like, oh yeah, that is really interesting. Like I used to be really aggressive, and like when I would put my face stuff on, which I actually also have, I want to walk through some like little beauty secrets with you guys that I've come into since all of this has transpired. So stick around if you're interested in that. But when I used to, like whether it was putting lotion on my body or like I wasn't gentle with myself. And the prompting was around noticing how much more gentle I was. And when she brought that to the surface, it helped me to take it a step even further around really being conscious about how am I connecting to my body, like if I'm in the shower and washing my body, if I'm like not stressed, like, you know, I was thinking of like when I shampooed my hair or washed my face, like everything used to be so urgent. Like, you know, if any of you guys have ever gone on vacation and you're like, why can't I relax? Like I'm allowed to relax and like my system won't let me relax. That, right? Like everything was a fire, you know? If you grew up in like a home where you had to be hypervigilant, if you worked in a career where you had to be hypervigilant, you might relate to what I'm talking about. There's so many things that I could dive into, and I'm sure that this is probably going to be the first of many videos of being back on YouTube. So if there's any specifics you guys want me to dive into, I'm happy to do that. Drop a comment. Other than that, I'm just gonna, you know, post videos as I feel so inspired, and yeah. So, okay. I'm gonna talk about some things that I have implemented and And I think it's so interesting because I used to do so much to try to be hot, and it was all from insecurity, right? And I think one of the most beautiful things is it was like everything was stripped away, and then I got to slowly rebuild from a place of like curiosity and like, what does my body need? And so the first one I'm going to talk about is bamboo extract. And I'm going to give the caveat that, like, you know, do your own research, right? I haven't necessarily, like, I do a lot of, like, I don't know, like, I'm gonna check this out and this out, and, like, I do research, but, like, I, at this point, don't remember, like, how, you know, I think I was talking to ChatGPT, to be honest. I think it was, like, hey, my hair is, like, at the time, I cut a lot of it off because the ends, like, I basically cut it so that the parts that were still attached to my head were more like the length that had grown out since I had started taking better care of myself. But at the time I was like, you know, describing some stuff that was going on with my hair, and the recommendation was bamboo extract. So I don't remember exactly what it is, but like what it does. So like I said, do your own research, but what I can tell you is my hair is way stronger. So it used to break really easily. It was just like really like weak. And the other really cool thing is my nails have gotten really strong. So I used to always get acrylics because I really liked long nails. Granted, last year I didn't. Like I said, like I was like no makeup, no nails, no jewelry. It was like, I was just stripped away of everything, basically, in a lot of ways. But my nails never used to be able to grow very long. If I got them to grow at all, they would break really, really easily. Now I've like done things where like I would literally like, I'm much better about this stuff now, but every so often I'll still be a little clumsy and like jam my fingernail into something, and I've had it like literally bend, you know, like down all the way, which normally that used to mean like it's gone, like it's snapped off, you're done, cut down all the nails so that they don't look like uneven. Now like I literally just get like this, like a more natural nail polish, and like I've never been able to just throw regular polish on my nails and like call it a day and feel like, you know, ooh, like this looks like I love this, but like now it's like, ooh, I love this. And that change happened, and like there's a multitude of things I've been implementing, so I'm gonna go through other ones as well, and I do think there's a cumulative effect. But if I'm remembering correctly, this was one of the things that I implemented first, and I started seeing the difference in my nails like really quickly, to the point where like I noticed that first for sure before my hair. And I just remember being like, wow, my nails grew really fast, like really fast, which like I said was not what had been happening before. Okay, so again, I'm gonna keep saying do your own research, but this is another one. I can't remember if this one's like a fish based, or algae, microalgae extract, Icelandic astellif, something. So this one's for your skin. So I had talked to ChatGPT again about like, there was and I'm gonna go through all my products, but I'm just gonna tell you like what was going on before and like where I'm at now. I just felt like my skin was kind of dull. I used to get Botox and fillers and all kinds of stuff, and honestly part of why like when I gave up on makeup, it was like I didn't even feel like makeup looked good on my skin anyways, because my skin, it had just gotten so unhealthy that it was like the texture didn't look good. Like it was like, this isn't even worth it. Like I just felt like, you know how sometimes, what is it, like putting lipstick on a pig? And that, I don't mean that to sound so mean. Like I love myself now. I more mean when you're trying to hide, like when the canvas isn't good and you're just trying to dress it up. Like that's how I felt before. Not that I felt like I was a pig. I did have, body dysmorphia issues over the years, but that was not relevant to this. so that one, and then so my skin was really textured too. It looked dull. So I started that, and then so this one's Mad Hippie Vitamin C, so brightening. And this one, honestly, I think this was the first of the like topical skincare ones that I started doing. And I just remember noticing like my skin really looked brighter and more even in a way that I was honestly pretty surprised, because I had done some serums before, but like it was when I was in my partying days, so like I'm sure it was offsetting any positive benefits with like the amount of vodka I was pouring into my face all the time. Like I was a daily drinker at the time, and like really stressed, really just not in a good place at all. So I'm sure, I think I was using like Drunk Elephant at the time. So, and actually I'm gonna have a drink of water, and this is one of the things that I want to talk about too. So let me have a sip, and then I'll talk about this, and then I'll talk about the other skincare, topical and oral. Hang on. Okay. So before I put this down, water, obviously. So like what we put in our bodies is super, super important. I'm pretty crazy in terms of the standards that I have for things at this point. It's like the more you love yourself, the more you're like, I am not going to drive myself insane. And so there are periods of time where, for example, I for years was getting Mountain Valley water. And then I found out there was contamination, and I could have had a total fucking meltdown. Like that would be the old me. And instead I was like, you know what? It's okay. We're just going to keep drinking it until we find a solution. We're not going to panic. But eventually I wanted to find a glass bottle. Spring water is the best for you. And I wanted to find something, I'm pretty sure I had found something that had like testing and that this one was good. So Icelandic water is literally like the only option that I've found that I believe is like really good water. I also have a water vortexer from Mayu. I have a code for that if anyone wants it. You can drop a comment and I'll let you know what that code is. It's like Nicola Louise, but there's some underscores in there. Rosehip is the other one that I got, rosehip oil. I love this company, Anima Mundi. They have all sorts of things. I have like their rose putter that I make. And they have ceremonial cacao that I mix with rose powder and like butterfly pea. I have so many things I can share with you guys. I actually love doing this. So if you guys like this video, let me know and I'll do so many more of them. Beta carotene is another one. So I was feeling so pale, and I started seeing these ads for these things that have tanner in them. That help your complexion. And instead of just getting one of the ones that had a bunch of stuff, because there was some other like filler type stuff, if I'm remembering, in those that I wasn't crazy about, or there's something about them that I was like, that doesn't feel quite right. But actually a lot of those ones that were like, look more tan, like glow and look more tan, also had this, the astaxanthin, and this one's from Sports Research. That's the one I showed earlier. The beta carotene, so it's like from carrots. So I remember growing up, we had a family friend who juiced a ton of carrots, and his skin would turn like a little bit orangish, but like I didn't see it that way. I just was like, he's always so tan. And my mother was like, yeah, it's from all the carrots. But I remember being like, but it kind of looks good. So I think this makes so much sense. And I don't think I've been taking it long enough to notice a huge difference. This one I do think has helped my skin significantly, but this is more like, I'm trying to remember what that one was. I can't remember if it was going to help with texture or like just the, like you want your skin to look plump, like, and that helps with texture. And then, I think for now that might be everything I'm going to do. The only other one I want to talk about actually is this one. So this one is Badger brand, rose body oil, but it's got a number of other things in it. And I'm going to tell you guys why I have this one. I originally got it to use all over my body. I don't really like it for that. I have some other things that I can share at another date that I like for rubbing all over my body. But I love scents, like aromas. I'm a big scent girl, but like don't wear cologne or perfume around me and I'll be grossed out. Like I'm very sensitive to smell, and when it smells artificial, like I get a little queasy, but like when there's something that's like more natural and it smells so good, like I put it on my hands before bed and just like smell it, and then it feels so luxurious to me, because it's like it feels good on my hands, but it's like a treat also because it smells so good. So I can share with you guys so much stuff if you guys want to learn more about you know, the shadow work, the identity work, I have so many more supplements that I take, and I have never felt healthier. I do body work. I have gotten really into makeup again. So I could do like so many different videos, and I'm kind of wanting my YouTube page to be more of like a fun space for me to just talk about anything and everything. So I have no idea who's even gonna watch this. Like, maybe no one is interested, but like I wanted to do it. I thought it was gonna be fun. So if people do watch it and you guys want more info on certain things, by all means let me know, and I would be so into doing it. So let's hang out if you guys want. Okay, I love you guys, and I'm excited to be back on here, and I'll see you all on the next one.